Luke was understandably excited when Leia finally kissed him, but as we know, he was looking for love in Alderaan places. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. Today, we're going to talk about the new era kits, specifically Stormtrooper Luke. On this video, I'm going to be making these videos every day till we're done with all 6 of them, and I'm going to link all of them together in the video description, so you can go watch those. I'm trying to do at least somewhat of a TLDR for each of them, so you don't have to spend a huge amount of time. But you can see here's the thumbnail for IG90. We're going to do them in order as they were published. So anyways, huge shout out to my patrons. You guys are awesome, and I couldn't do this without you. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really does mean the world to me, guys. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's mount the algorithm together or separately. I don't really care. It's up to you. Your choice, dealer's choice, as they say, as someone says. So, Stormtrooper Luke, he's got a really interesting kit. It's a really nice early game kit, honestly, not to spoil things for you, but we're going to do a slide for each of the abilities, and I'm probably not going to talk about every single thing. You guys can take screenshots and stuff as you will, but Stormtrooper Luke is basically a team that's intended by CG to work with the team you see above. You can also see I just use Stormtrooper Luke as the stand-in. He is going to be the leader on this team. He's hanging out with Stormtrooper Han and Princess Leia, and then that's the 3v3 team. The 5v5 team adds Old Ben and R2-D2, which is a great thing for early game players who don't have Leia yet. And so, anyways, the basic attack is interesting. Kind of. It causes a new debuff called Buff Disruption, which means they can't gain buffs at all. And if you want to, like once you do damage to them, then they lose all their turn meter. As far as I understand, that's the end of the buff disruption, but one way or another, they get that, and if you call a mass assist and you put that him, and he's the first one to shoot, he'll get buff disruption on the character, and then the next person to shoot will then trigger the turn meter loss. So I thought that was interesting because you can actually, it's kind of like stagger in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of calls to assist in this one. His special one, cooldown 5 is a lot though. One thing to keep in mind is as if he loses stealth, which he'll have stealth a decent amount of time, he will also have his cooldowns reduced a decent amount of time, so he'll be able to cycle through a little bit. So he can dispel all debuffs on all allies, which is nice. He gives tenacity up to everyone, which is also, that's very kind of him. He rallies all rebel allies, which rally is something you find in the Resistance Hero Finn kit. So tanks taunt, attackers assist, and healers and supports restore health. They heal everyone. So we only have one support, that's Luke. The rest are either tanks or, oh no, we R2-D2 is a support. And then you also give one of your buddies a bonus turn, and if it's Princess Leia, so you want to target her. If you give her a bonus turn, she gains 30% offense and ignores taunt for that bonus turn, which is cool. She likes to ignore things. She's a princess. She's very ignorant. And so, and if Princess Leia and Stormtrooper on, so there's a ton of verbiage, guys, that just basically bludgeons you into. You have to take Leia and Han. That you have to, like, that if he wants to work as a kit, you have to take those two. In 3s, it's even more obvious. But if those two are allies somehow, if you chose to do that, their chance effects are increased by 100%. This was a really interesting way to go, an interesting direction, because they have a ton. Well, actually, I think there's 5 different things that I can point out. We'll look at them a little bit later, but essentially, they're things that don't really happen too often with these characters that suddenly, if they're guaranteed to be 100%, which they're going to be now, it's going to make them a lot stronger, actually. I was I loved that direction that they went. It modernizes these new kits without actually having to change the kits at all. So his second special is a cooldown 4, gives vulnerable to all the enemies. Yay! Rebel attackers gain offense up for 2 turns, and then non-tank rebel allies gain stealth, which is neat because that's kind of a pseudo taunt anyways. We have 2 tanks on the team, of course, Stormtrooper Han and Old Ben. You call all the rebel allies to assist, and you do more damage with these based on how many stealthed allies you have. I don't know if we'll even notice that amount of damage. Princess Leia does love stealth though, guys. As you all probably know, she gets a lot of benefits from it. She's able to gain a bunch of turn meter when she uses her special. She gains buffs. She does all kinds of. She just like basically gets an extra turn if as you'll see as we continue through the kit. So 2 calls to assist. The first one is really just a call to assist from Leia because she's the only attacker. But anyways, the Stormtrooper Luke unique. So essentially, if Leia and Han are allies, they all 3 gain 30 speed. Not everyone on the team, just those 3. And then also Rebel tank allies taunt for a turn at the start, so they get a pre-taunt. Old Ben and Stormtrooper Han. At the start of the fight, Rebel allies stealth for a turn, so at the very start, everyone's kind of in their natural places. Because in this team, a lot of times, it's going to be very regulated. If you're a tank, you want to be taunting. And if you're not a tank, you want to be in stealth. That's just kind of the natural order of things on this specific team. And there's a lot of different mechanics that kind of regulate that and try to get you back to that natural space. So whenever a rebel ally gains bonus turn meter while they're below 100% turn meter, they gain protection up 10% for 2 turns. Stormtrooper Han is going to be absolutely filthy with protection up stacks. He's going to have a ton of them because he gains so much turn meter all the time. It's kind of crazy. Whenever a rebel ally scores a critical hit, they heal themselves. And then whenever a rebel ally stealths, all tank allies taunt. So if Leia stealths herself, if R2-D2 stealths someone, then all the tank allies just taunt. Not to mention, Luke is also going to be stealthing people. His leadership has 2 components. First, his actual just normal lead, and then he has a GAC 3v3 Omicron, which we'll discuss on the next slide. So if the team is Luke, Leia, and Stormtrooper Han, which you just basically have to do it, they gain 30% of the stats you guys see there. It's all pretty kind of standard for leaderships. And then rebels, if they're over 50% health, they gain defense. If they're under 50% health, they gain offense. We won't even notice that probably. Stealth rebels gain defense penetration, which, I mean, they're going to be stealthed a lot. If stealth or taunt are dispelled, they gain foresight and some defense up. And if you remove turn meter from an enemy, distract them. Distracting an enemy just makes it so they can't gain bonus turn meter. You're going to be removing turn meter quite a bit. Stormtrooper Luke lead Omicron in 3v3 GAC and allied with Leia and Han. Who knew that you get all sorts of stuff, guys? And like the ramping is really interesting. Like the Stormtrooper Han will get up to 450% extra defense, which is a lot. 3v3 will use this quite a bit, actually. When a rebel crits, the enemy loses turn meter. Remember, this is all for the Omicron, so it's not always that this happens. But while you're stealthed, Princess Leia ignores protection while she's attacking. So she's very ignorant. Like I say, she ignores protection and she ignores taunt in certain circumstances. When an enemy gets distracted, they get ability block while we're under this GAC Omicron. When an ally is dazed or stunned, you get rid of it, and the person who caused it gets distracted and protection disrupted, which is also nice. It helps Leia continue to be ignorant by ignoring protection. Leia and everyone gets to do that though. Leia and Stormtrooper Han get to have all of their stuff increased by 100%. Their chance effects, and Luke can ramp up to 50% evasion. Leia stacks up to 135% extra offense and crit damage. And while someone else on his team has protection, Luke can't be defeated. So a little bit of analysis here, guys. This seems like a really nice new player team. A lot of these characters, like all these characters, are very easy to get, except for, of course, Stormtrooper Luke. Tanks want to stay taunting, everyone else gets stealth. You have a lot of turn meter control here. One thing I wanted to point out though, folks, and this is something that people get mistake all the time, Stormtrooper Han is a really cool taunt. One of the coolest taunts in the whole game. Unfortunately, it's very challenging to get this sometimes. Han taunts for 3 turns. Great. If it gets dispelled, though, you don't get the cool abilities. Even if you re-taunts, it's not his fancy taunt. His fancy taunt means while he's fancily taunting, while that buff is currently applied, then whenever he gets hit, his opponent or his guys gain a bunch. His allies gain 30% turn meter, or they 20% turn meter when he's damaged. So and then they also gain 30% turn meter when he takes a turn. So that's only when he uses that ability, though, guys. Not every time he taunts. You can't just like I used to want to use him with like Watt, for instance. Watt doesn't do that. Watt just gives him a random taunt, not his fancy taunt. So look at all these special effects we get every time now. So used to be 70% chance that Stormtrooper Han would gain 35% turn meter whenever he shot. Now he just gets, every time he does a basic, he gets 35% turn meter. He also has a 100% chance to remove 30% turn meter from each enemy at the start of each of his turns. Also, he recovers, let's see. He also has a 100% chance to remove 10% turn meter from each enemy when he's damaged. So when he takes damage, everyone takes 10% turn meter loss. Just every single time. It's amazing. Leia has a ton of conditionals. She gets a lot of extra buffs consistently. She shoots consistently every single time. With her basic, she shoots 3 times when she's stealthed. She's also gaining 100% turn meter and all sorts of buffs every single time. It's kind of crazy. Distract is a really interesting mechanic as well, because you're going to be removing a lot of turn meter, especially in 3v3 with the GAC Omicron. But otherwise, Stormtrooper Han, every time he takes a turn, he removes turn meter from everyone, so everyone gets distracted. And Old Ben, whenever he does his force power, his mind trick, he also gets, he reduces everyone's turn meter and therefore distracts them. So lots of interesting stuff going on here. I think it's a cool kit. I think it's a good new player thing. And I actually think that this is a team we might end up using a decent amount in 3v3, even in the end game, though I don't think the 5v5 version is going to hold up, at least not in GAC or TW. So that's it for me. Stay tuned for the other kits as I release them. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails.